Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is my spoiler review. I have a review on my blog, soundarbettermyhead.com. There shouldn't be any spoilers on there if you want to check that out. I ended up giving this movie a 1.5 out of 5. I've seen the other Indiana Jones movies. I've enjoyed them. I wouldn't say I'm like a big fan like a lot of people are. Like a lot of people love the franchise. I'm sure I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark a couple times. I think I've seen Temple of Doom maybe once. I've seen probably Crystal Skull maybe once. Last Crusade I've seen probably a couple times, and I enjoyed them, but well, not so much Crystal Skull, but you know the main ones I enjoyed, but I wasn't like this is like my shit. So I think the bigger fan you are of Indiana Jones, I think the more you're gonna sit through these movies and be like, well, it was enjoyable, or I like parts of it. But if you're just like a casual fan like me, I think I don't know. To be honest, I was bored. I was really bored throughout this movie to the point where I literally at one point was contemplating getting out of the theater and just leaving because it just was boring. Now I was just hoping that the end would pick up. First of all, like the action scenes, there's usually something that you remember years later about these Indiana Jones movies. Either he's running from the boulder, or the mine carts, or even the shitty jungle chase in Crystal Skull, or the tank sequence in Last Crusade. There's like so many iconic action sequences that like are memorable, and this one there was nothing. The train stuff at the beginning was okay, but it was so dark and everything was CGI. Same thing with the chases through the cities, a whole bunch of CGI buildings, and that just wasn't anything special. I think the horseback one was a little bit better than the motorized rickshaw one. Just the puzzle solving was mediocre. Just I don't know. Just like we translate this tablet. It was pretty simple. Let's drain this water out of this thing, and now we found what we're looking for. It wasn't. I don't know. Like I'm thinking of like Last Crusade, and like how elaborate the stuff they had to figure out was, and like there was some cool traps and stuff. This one, it really was pretty bland. And the plots, what you expect. None of these movies have like a super crazy plot. There's a bad guy, usually a Nazi, trying to get some ancient artifact with mystical powers that if he gets his hand on it, that's probably going to be a bad thing. And Indiana Jones, with the help with some sidekicks, manages to stop them. And it's like, that's fine, but I don't know. I thought it was a stretch that this Archimedes' compass, they turned into some kind of weird device that could find rips in time, which was just kind of came out of left field. The thing, no one even knows if it even worked to begin with. And then what it was supposed to do is track and predict, planetary movements, lunar cycles, stuff like that. And it's like I said, it's a bit of a stretch to say, oh yeah, it worked and it tracked fissures in time. It was a weird thing to come up with, but whatever. It would have been nice if there was some kind of lore to it, that was something that it was supposedly could do, but you start off with the big de-aging sequence. I thought Indy looked fine. There's a couple shots where like the camera was like right in his face and like he was talking and you could see that kind of painted texture you see a little bit with CGI sometimes. I thought Mads Mikkelsen's face looked even like wonkier in the flashbacks. And to show you how out of touch I am with this franchise, the whole time his buddy was there with him, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him from the other movies. And then find out later, like, no, that was a brand new character, just some random best friend that we never heard of that Indiana was so close with that he became godfather to his daughter. And I'm just like, okay, it must be a character I forgot about. But I think just the fact that Indy's face was de-aged, and I'm assuming there was parts where it probably wasn't Harrison Ford. I don't know what. Either way, I felt like I was pulled out of that scene. I felt like I wasn't watching Indiana Jones in action, and it was Harrison's voice from now. They didn't try to make the voice sound like he did back then, which I think took me out of it initially. But I don't know. And plus it was a flashback, so everybody's gonna, at least Indiana's gonna make it out of it. Absolutely no problem. Nothing too crazy is gonna happen because it's a flashback from a long time ago. Then we get this super grumpy, Indiana Jones most of the movie, and then they finally reveal that his wife left him and their son died, and it's like, didn't they just kind of do this with Han Solo, where he was with Leia and he was happy, and then Ben Solo turned to the dark side, and everybody like went their separate ways, and Han Solo was just grumpy, and, from that on in. So I don't know. So just Indiana Jones just didn't look like he wanted to be doing any of this shit. We had really no skin in the game for like a while. He's just trying to get the dial back. And then Shaw's daughter was just annoying. She's very unlikable. She's dicking over Indy. She almost got him killed. She just constantly just trying to get money. Just the character's motivation is strictly money. Is just like she's a bad guy in a lot of ways, and just eventually she just decides to help Indy out. Then she had basically her version of a Short Round, except he was a Latino dude. He didn't really add that much to the movie. And the fact that he got to take out like the super massive guy that Indy used to get. Usually there's one big ass guy that Indiana Jones, has to fight and beat. And this time the kid got him, and it was, oh yeah, I just chained him to something and he drowned underwater. Like felt like very anticlimactic the way they did it. As far as the bad guys, like Mickelson was fine, he did his thing. I didn't understand the movie was too long, which adds to the boring factor of it, but there's this whole weird thing, like the CIA was letting Mickelson's character do certain things because he helped us get on the moon in the 60s, and then somehow the two henchmen were like super loyal to him. Like, I don't know, were they secretly Nazis? They're too young to be Nazis. I don't. Did they have family that were Nazis? He's paying them a lot of money. Like, I don't know what these guys were doing to like just be flat out bad guys and just killing anybody that got in their way. Like, they were loyal to this guy. And then they had this whole CIA subplot, and the one chick was in it for a minute. I thought she'd be like, an important thing later on. Then they end up just killing her off. Like, we didn't need any of that CIA side plot shit. He's the bad guy. He's got henchmen. They're after Indiana Jones. Boom. And then when they get to like, I think was it Morocco or Egypt? They're somewhere in the Middle East, and this whole other subplot where Shaw's daughter dated some mobster, and she was just using him. So him and his buddies are after her, and he's trying to kind of get her back, and the friends are trying to kill them. And then there's another chase sequence with Mickelson's character. It's like you didn't need any of that. Mickelson could have just had some extra, dudes out there. Maybe you could see that she dicked the guy over at some point, and then see what kind of character she was. But you didn't really need all this extra shit. It was unnecessary. Like I said, the movie was just. There was a stretch where nothing was good was going on, nothing interesting. Then they'd get points that would get a little interesting again. The diving sequence was fine. It was just it was a little too quick. It's like, the only hiccup was that there was a bunch of eels guarding this, tablet they're looking for. The only thing I was hoping, and there was a little bit of a payoff, I was like, what, they're going to make this movie interesting. You got supposedly a time travel device. Let's do some time travel and see what comes out of that. And I was actually pretty surprised they went all the way back to like the siege of Syracuse. So you get to see this really cool, battle that from like, I don't know, 2,000 years ago. That was, something you don't get to see, especially not in Indiana Jones movies. So that was an interesting twist. The henchmen were just going bananas trying to kill these, Roman soldiers or whatever for some reason. I don't know they were being attacked, but I don't know. It was just a little over top. And then their plane crash was like their big ending. Like, I don't know. There's usually like a big comeuppance for the bad guys. They get their faces melted off or whatever happens to them. And here it's like, their plane crashed and then they just died. And the weird thing where Indiana Jones was like determined to like stay in the past. And at one point it's like, well, maybe there'll be some kind of interesting twist. Maybe he does stay in the past, and then, that's how the character ends, and it has some impact when they go back to the present, and they just end up knocking him out and taking him back to the future. And that was just, like I said, a jump. Seemed like it should have been like kind of complicated to get back into this portal and go back, because it was a pain in the ass coming through it. And it's like, we just cut, and he's fine, and they brought his wife back, and all his friends are here. It was like damn near like waking up from the Land of Oz, to be honest, now that I think about it. And then like he has this kind of happy ending with the callback to like his first kisses with his wife when he first met her, basically. I know. I think that's really about it. There's not a ton I want to say about it because it just didn't seem like that much really happened. You got Artifact, a few chase sequences, nothing that special. I think Indy barely even busted his whip out. Harrison Ford, I thought everyone did the best with the material they had, but it just wasn't enough in my opinion. I know those people that really seem to enjoy this movie. I've seen a couple people that hated it. If you would have cut some big chunks out of it, get rid of some of the excess material, you gotta have at least one iconic action sequence that I could, I'll be talking about. Even if it was bad, even the shitty Shia LaBeouf swinging from the vines, people remember from, Crystal Skull. But yeah, I got like I said, the non-spoiler version of this review. I got other reviews. I got my comic strips. Those are all at soundofbettermyhead.com. So thanks for watching.